So this is the Dvar Malchut. It's a continuation. We're continuing what we learned yesterday, a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe and right before Rosh Hashanah in the year 1991. And the Rebbe here is explaining that there were two things that happened on Rosh Hashanah. Then it was, 5,751 years ago when the Rebbe spoke this. When the Rebbe said this speech. So two things happened on Rosh Hashanah. First of all, it was the completion of the creation of the world, which that's no small feat. I mean, the whole world was created. And it was the day that man was created. So when the world was created, I mean, it was made by God. We're not talking about made in China or something where it breaks apart in a few days. This is the world that was made by God himself. So everything that was made in the world, as we say, was very good. God saw what he did. Look in the Bible over there, you'll see that it says that God created the world in 6 days. And it says, and God saw everything that he made, and it was very good. This is after man was created, after man sinned. After this, God said everything that he made was very good. Very good. So that's it. The world is very good. So man sinned. What's it says? Okay. Nevertheless, everything was very good. What was very good? So that the Rebbe said that's first level is the world is good. The world is very good. But there's something else. God created man, and God created man to make the world better, to fix up the world, to make the world into a place where it wouldn't be relevant to sin, to make the wrong choices. The opportunity would be there. The options are there to do sins so that we could choose to do good, but everyone would choose to do good. No one would choose to do bad. We've spoken about this a lot of times. Like, if you want to, you can go down to any hardware store. You can buy an automatic saw. You can cut off your leg. You want to do it, you can do it. Who would do an insane thing like that? But you can do it if you want to. Nothing holds you back, right? But you don't have to have a license to buy one of these saws. You can go and just buy it, go home, close your door, nobody will see you, cut off your leg, right? Why doesn't anybody do it? I mean, it's such an obvious option. No one takes that option. It doesn't make any sense. Somebody will do it. Because the answer is it's insane. Who would do a crazy thing like that? It's the same thing if Adam would have not eaten from the tree. There would be free will. We could do what we want, but it would be so obvious that to cut ourselves off from God is just ridiculous. Sure, you can do it if you want. But who would want to do a thing like that? Who would want to do a thing like that? They're talking right. Man, that's very good. Man was made in order to fix up the world. So the world is talking about not just everybody else, and it's talking about us, and mainly us. So those are the two things. The main thing is the completion of the world and the completion, an additional higher level of completion that is added by man. And if I'm not mistaken, this is where we got up to yesterday. There we go. Yesh Lomar, we can say that this whole idea of adding on to the completion of the world by means of man, and again, I just want to stress that this is the whole point of Hasidut and the whole point of the Torah is this world, right? God does not say to man, the first man, because you ate from the tree, you're going to go to hell. Buddy, you don't know you're missing one. You're going to go to hell, you're going to burn in hell. God doesn't say that to Adam. In fact, in the whole 5 books of Moses, hell and heaven are not mentioned. It doesn't say you're going to go to heaven, you're going to, you know how good heaven is, you have any idea what you're missing if you don't do the commandments. You know what hell is, you know what if you do a prohibition. It doesn't say that. It doesn't mean that there is no such thing. There are people, it says that Tzedukim said that there is no reward and punishment because it doesn't say it in the Bible. So that's not so. There definitely is heaven, but it's not important in view of the true. It's like a doctor thinking only about how much money he makes, and he's not thinking about healing the pupil, the patients. So good, he makes a lot of money, gets billions, but he's missing the main point. He's healing people. He's bringing health into the world. That should make him infinitely more happy than all the money. He wants the money too. Nothing's wrong with money. But the main thing is to bring health into the world. You know what a miraculous thing that is. So says the Rebbe, that's what man was created. Man was created in the world to improve the world. Man made an elevation. Okay, this is especially stressed, and this is what I talked about before yesterday, and why I skipped the first two paragraphs, because they're talking about the uniqueness of the fact when Rosh Hashanah falls on Monday and Tuesday, second day of the week and the third day of the week. But this year it doesn't fall on those days. This year Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbos and on Yom Rishon. So it doesn't fall on these 2 days. So therefore, all the explanations of the Rebbe, even though whatever the Rebbe says is eternal, but it's not directly relevant to this year. Okay. But nevertheless, when it does fall on those days, so it's relevant what it says in the first chapter of the book of Daniel. It says that Daniel was put into the, see what happened when it was Nebuchadnezzar, he destroyed the first temple, right? And he took over Israel. So he realized that the Jews had some very intelligent people. So he wanted to improve his court, his royal court. And also the Jews belonged to him now. I mean, they were his servants. He took them all in prison. So he took all the smart ones and the holy ones and this, and he made them part of his court. And this, of course, decorated his court with all these jewels, with these genius people and these holy people. And one of them was Daniel. And Daniel also had his 3 friends that came with him, right? So he says that the king took the Daniel and his wise men, and he gave them pat bag hamelech, the best bread of the king. And from this, they learned that pat means to be divided. Bag hamelech means on Yom Sheni v'Shlishi, when Rosh Hashanah falls on Sheni v'Shlishi, as it did when the Rebbe was giving the speech in 1991. With a big, then it's divided. Nitzavim v'Yelech, the 2 portions are divided, separated. Okay. Okay, back to our case. B'Kaviyut Rosh Hashanah, when Rosh Hashanah comes to as close as it can be to Yom Rishon, that on Yom Rishon was stressing the completion of the creation all. Again, God started the creation on Yom Rishon. In English terms, Sunday. God began creation on Sunday. God finished the creation on Yom Shishi, on Friday. Then came after that the next week. So the first day, that is Kamoshu Haya B'Yom Rechad, just like it was on the first day when God created the world, that God was one in his world. Now it says that the word Breshit really means that God created everything on the first day. And he brought it out to revelation gradually in the next 6 days. I don't know if that applies to a man also. It could be. It says everything was created the first day. It says, Mudgash Shlemus Shemitzad Bria Olam Ayadei Kodesh Baruch Hu. The first day, that shows the ideal wholesomeness of the world. God created the world, and all there was God. The world existed, but it was obvious that the world is a creation. God is creating it, God is creating it, so to speak, from himself, from his energy, from his light, from his words, his letters. That's on the first day. The Elosh and Otosef, and that one was added by man. This is B'Shlilut Efsharut, the Kaviyot, the Rosh Hashanah, B'Yom Rishon Atzmo. That Lo Adu Rosh, after the destruction of the temple, so it was made that the calendar was set. And it was set in such a way that Sunday and Wednesday and Friday can never be the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Lo Adu Rosh. 1, 4, and 6 of the week, Yom Rishon, Yom Revi, Yom Shishi, can never be the first day of Rosh Hashanah. So that comes to show us that that Rosh Hashanah, which is the day man was created, nowadays can never fall on the same day that God began the creation, first day. It has to be the days after that, where the days, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, that's Bag HaMelech. Those are the 2 days when, so to speak, when Rosh Hashanah can be. In other words, to hint that the world was created incomplete. Nowadays, we have to stress that God is not revealed in the world. On the first day of creation, God is revealed in the world. It used to be in the time of the Holy Temple that Rosh Hashanah could fall on that day, when God and the world were totally one. You could see God in the world. But now, after the destruction of the temple, when they set the calendar, so the day that we celebrate the creation of man can never fall on the same day when God began to create the world and the completion of God, wholeness of God was revealed. It can't be. When can it fall? On Beit Gimel. Can't be Adu, but it can fall on Monday and Tuesday. And that's what it was back then, in that 1991. The explanation is like this. It's explained in the Midrash. Shebeyom Sheni, that on the second day of creation was created machlokas, was created division. Beyom Shlishi, batla machlokas, the division was finished, eradicated. V'nasa shalom, and there was made peace. Look in your Bible, you'll see that the second day of creation, God created, it's created, I don't know how they translate the firmament. How do they translate it? Firmament? Let me see. I have a good translation over here. Let's see how it translates. God created the firmament. Why is it not here? Why can't I find it? Here it is. Here it is. God created the firmament. Let's see how he translates it over here. This, by the way, I've said it before. This is an excellent book. Art School English Tanakh. And the commentaries are just excellent. Really, just so elucidating and accurate. Here we go. Ready? It says, a firmament. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Okay, firmament. The firmament is that God made division. On the second day of creation, God made a division. B'yom Shlishi, on the third day of creation, it said God made peace. Nasa Shalom. On the second day, God made a division between the upper waters and the lower waters. On the third day, it says God made peace between them. Then he started creating things. What does this mean in our service? The machlokas, the whole idea of division, which was created on the second day, is because of the concealment and the hiding when God made the world. God made the world. In Hebrew, the word for world is the same world as concealment. Olam from Helem. Ala Lakusa, God, so to speak, hid over himself. That's what we talked about in Lakuti Torah just now, right? Key, because Hamam and Vamatzav, the Yom Echad, that God created the first day, namely that God was one in the world did not conceal God. This is because of God. On the first day, it was God's world. You could see everything was from God's point of view. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, that God, let me get my pointer over here. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Yachid, he was one in the world. Olam, Shalom, the whole world was his world. That's the way it is now also, but we don't see it. But the world itself, if you look at it from God's point of view, that's how it was on the first day of creation. God created light. There was light. It was the world. It was a big miracle. It was obvious. But on the second day, though, says God made a division. The second day, there were two things. There was God and the world. Shlishi, and the novelty on the third day of creation, Shabbatla Machlokas, that there was negated this division, and there was made peace between the world and God in a way that the world on its own agrees to God. On the first day of creation, the world did not oppose God. It didn't oppose God. On the second day, the world opposed God. The world was a separate creation, and God was a separate creation. That's the simple narrative of the Bible. The simple narrative of the Bible is God is this being or something, and a really talented, super talented angel. He's the only angel that knows how to create things, and that's a simple narrative. And God starts creating the world. Right? So you think the first day, that's pretty amazing. I mean, God creates something, where does he create it? Just creates, we can't do that. So this is like really talented. On the second day, the world is separate. Well, that makes sense. The world is a separate being. On the first day, God created it, and he went like that. And then the world that's it. That's what happened on the second day. The world seemed to be a totally separate entity from God. But that's not the end. Then there's the third day. The third day is that the world, as a separate entity, gives itself over to the Creator. Maskim, it agrees with God. Nowadays, this is made by means of the service of the Jewish people when they do the Torah. That both of them, the Torah and the Jewish people, are called number three, like the third day that made peace. The Jewish people are also called number three. And the Torah is called three. Three, the whole, looking just now, what's three? Three means there's one opposite here and one opposite here, but there's something in the middle that joins them together. That's the Jewish people. That's the number, which is not the case, the number two, right? The number two, if you have two, so this is separate and this is separate. Two separate things. The third joins them together. That's the Jewish people. They're the number three. And the Torah is number three. The Torah is called the triple Torah. Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim. And the Jewish people are called triple: Kohanim, Levites, and Israel. Three types. Shlishi, Amachriya, Bein HaMachlokas. This is the number three, which is a mediator between two arguing parties that makes peace between them. By means of this, how does the third party make peace? Because it includes both of the two opinions. The Shneim Maskimim, and all of them agree to this third opinion. Jewish people, they're part of God, the sons of God, but Jewish people are also in the world. They're also in the world. So the Jewish people are supposed to make peace between the Creator and the creation. That's why the Jewish people are number three. Kamaimer, like it says, the Jewish people are called Shlomit. They're called completion. Uma, a nation. Shalom. Beini ubein olami. They make, Shalomit is a term used by King Solomon in the Song of Songs. It says they're Jewish people, they make peace between me and the world. In other words, to make the world a godly place, that the world stays the world, remains a world. There's still people with families, with children, with livelihood, with jobs. People need things, there's supply, there's demand. Everything in the world is here. But everybody realizes that it's here only because God is making it here. And that we have to use it the way God, that's supposed to be the job of the Jews. That's what we're chosen for. By means of the service of the Jews, the Kiyum doing the Torah and the commandments, therefore there's made peace in the entire world. The United Nations won't do it. No human being will be able to do it. All these political solutions to the world, communism and thisism and nationalism and Napoleon and, liberty and fraternity and all these wonderful, wonderful ideas, they can't possibly work. The only thing that can possibly make peace in the world are the Jews, if the Jews do what they're supposed to. But if the non-Jews do what the Jews are supposed to, it won't make peace in the world. The Jews are supposed to learn the Torah, do the commandments, and be in the world an example of the creator of the universe. On the other hand, not to give in to anything that's bad, not to give in at all, to make any concessions whatsoever to anything that's even slightly bad. But on the other hand, not to, to give up on finding good in everything there is, to bringing out and looking for and searching for and believing in good in everything and in everyone. Everything must contain something good. Every person has to have something good. Unless the person, according to the Torah, does something that clearly indicates, which is very rare. But not to give up on finding good in everything, and on the other hand, in no way to make even the slightest concession to something that's bad. Hakavana, that's the idea of this division on the second day. Higam, and the main thing is hamachloikas, the kedusha, the what's called the division of holiness. Ubelashon Mishnah, like it says in the 5th chapter of Pirkei Avot that we learn in this coming Shabbat, machlokat shi l'shem shamayim. God loves arguments. The whole Talmud is filled with arguments. God purposely creates everybody different so that everyone looks at the world from a different point of view, slightly, and that encourages arguments. But if it's an argument for the sake of God, then sofalit kayam. I listen to what the other person's opinion is, and I try, like I said before, eliminate, not to make any concessions to the mistakes that he made, but on the other hand, to try to find the good what he's doing, what he's saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm holding on to something that's not good. I have to turn from bad. So that's the idea of an argument. Everybody has something. That's what it says. Who is a wise person? Someone who learns from everybody. So you have something to learn from everybody, something good, or even something bad, to learn what not to do. So, for instance, this is the argument of Hillel and Shammai. Argument is a good thing. That's the second day. Machloket b'Torah. Mitzad hitchalkut, because of the division, the beit kavim of right and left, chesed and gevura. Lahakil, to be lenient or to be severe. And so that's good, but it's not the best. The argument, which was the peace which is made on the third day, this is made by means of hamshachat galut darga nalit yoter, a higher level, the Torah, which is above any disagreement and argument of the two sides. In other words, the purpose of arguing is to come to a conclusion which is higher than both of them. Lochen, therefore, both of them, the solution, number 3, can include these two opinions together. By means of the service of the Jewish people in learning Torah and doing the commandments, this is revealed in the Torah, which comes to the world, and by means of them, even in the world, not just the level of the Torah, which is relevant to the world. Therefore, in this aspect of the Torah, there's all these arguments, like in the Talmud. But this revealed when the Jewish people do and learn the Torah, this draws down the level of the Torah, which is above the world, from the giver of the Torah. And the level of the Torah, how it is from God's essence. The simple unity of God drawn into the world, that's the number 3. The Jewish people have the ability to do that. The Jewish people are number 3, a triple nation, Kohen, Levi, and Israel, and they draw from the Torah, which is triple, which is Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, and they can make peace in the world. All peace, according to this, is understood. Shabbat when Rosh Hashanah comes out to be right next to the first day, namely on Yom Sheni and Yom Shlishi, like it was back then in Tafshin Nun Aleph, Beit Gimel, it's stressed the main thing of Rosh Hashanah, which the king, which is Bag HaMelech, Pat Bag HaMelech, that's what in the sentence from Daniel. And he gave a Pat means bread, Bag, the best, says HaMelech of the king, but we can say Pat means to be divided. The Nitzavim and Yelech are divided. Bag is Beit Gimel, Monday and Tuesday, the second and third day of the week. That's the days of HaMelech, of Rosh Hashanah, is the king. When the king, Rosh Hashanah, falls on Beit Gimel, then the chiddush, the novelty, which is made by means of the service of our service, physical people in the world that we're disagreeing with God, so to speak, by our very existence. It seems that we're in existence separate from God. But when we serve God, in addition to the completion of the creation by means of God, which is on the first day of creation, that the world, that even more, that even the world itself, as it is separate, not just from God, how God is one in the world, like on the first day of creation, but the world how it is in the second day of creation, where it seems to be something separate. Well, when the third day comes, then the world itself agrees to godliness. The low rock im dargas, not just the level of godliness which is revealed in the world, like on the first day, but even a higher level of godliness. Elagam dargas elokus, a level of godliness which is incomprehensible, incomparable, totally to the world. So to speak, we add something by means of our service in this apparently separate world. We add something, so to speak, to God himself. We reveal a higher level of godliness in this world than before. I mean, maybe you can take an example, or give an example, but maybe it's not a good one. Just one moment. Add until a level which is above any division. God, you are one and with no incomprehensible, no number. Let's say an example. I'm saying I don't know if it's a good example. Let's say a normal person, right? That's like one. And then the person gets sick. That's like number two. And then the person miraculously gets healed. Now this person, it's not just he was before. Now he's the same as he was before physically, but now he has a whole new appreciation of life. Before he took life for granted. And now all of a sudden he realizes that no, from the world, you can realize a whole new awareness of what life really means. So I'm substituting life for God. But it's almost the same thing, right? Life is incomprehensible. Life is good. God is good. So a person, God forbid, he was sick. That's like the world how it was on the second day of creation. God made a division. The third day is healing the division. Then there's a new thing that's revealed, a new level of appreciation of the creator of the world. That's ideally what the Jewish people are here for. And it's stressed when Rosh Hashanah fell, like it did back then in 1991, on the second and the third day of the week. Fad Pag HaMelech, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. And now let's learn the Yom Yom.